Welcome to the DCS Local 3.0 and Local Funnel Mastery training. Our webinar's here for the tail end of 2015. I'm very excited about today's content, which I'm calling The Success Lie Exposed. And that's me there on your left, Chris Brewer, and we have a guest presenter who I'll be introducing, Dr. Bob. Welcome to the call again.
Thank you, Chris. It's a great opportunity to be with you and your listeners on this season of special Thanksgiving for folks in the U.S. of A. A lot to be thankful for, and I'm thankful for you and the great work you're doing with your clients. And this is going to be an excellent time together this afternoon. I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, I'm glad you could join us. I kind of came up with this idea. I'm going to tell you guys how I came up with this idea for this webinar today and share that with you. Dad is coming to us from Franklin, Tennessee, and that's just outside Nashville, Tennessee. And so what we're going to be talking about for the rest of our time today is the success lie. And hopefully by the end of the call, we'll have it completely exposed. Let's talk a little bit about what is the success lie. And I'm more than happy for folks like Jane Brown, who I know is probably already typing into the chat box. Everyone on the call, what is your opinion of the success lie? What do you say that is for you? And I'm going to have a couple of polls on here in a little bit, so you have to make sure you've got your poll fingers ready as well. But what I want to start talking about today is kind of the things that, have you ever heard this? You can be whatever you want. Anyone heard that? You can be whatever you want. Donald says it's all about the money. All right. So yeah, so Jane says she has heard that frequently and well-meaning. Now, I'm not saying that necessarily is a success lie, but depending on where you come from and what your background is, maybe you do have some limitations that way. But maybe you've heard you can be whatever you want. I know I heard that a lot growing up, that you can be whatever you dream. Steve says he wanted to be a movie star. And we all know Steve has not become a movie star. And have you heard this one? That only special people succeed. So only those people succeed. And this one, I think, too, is especially dangerous because depending on how this is put into words and how old of an individual you are, this can actually be pretty damaging to an individual, especially because that's saying that you aren't special, that you don't have God-given talents that you can utilize in specific ways for success. So don't buy in to lies like that, because everyone does have the potential for success. If you've ever bought into those kind of things where that in spite of your background, in spite of your education, you decided, I'm going to do what I want to do. I'm going to go after my dream, and I'm going to ignore what everyone else has told me, but yet you still don't feel like you've arrived. You may have heard things like this. You know you've made it when. So how does that sentence usually answer? You guys have been really good chiming in today. How does that usually finish? You know you've made it when. Okay? So there's $1 million. Okay? Someone says they've also heard you're not good enough for that. Yeah, okay, Jonathan says, you know you've made it when you made a bunch of money. And a bunch of money is pretty relative, isn't it, to the individual? Yeah, these days one has to be a billionaire. A million doesn't go very far these days. You know you've made it when your parents are actually proud of you and respect what you're working on. Wow, that's a great one. Okay, so you may have heard these kinds of things as well. Maybe you've heard this. Don't worry, all your hard work will pay off someday. And that's usually said when someone may be feeling sorry for you, or you may be feeling sorry for yourself and looking for words like that. Don't worry, all your hard work will pay off someday. Do any of you on the call today feel that way? That you've worked extremely hard in this business and it just hasn't paid off yet? Well, if that's you, we're going to see if we can't help you out a little bit today. Yeah, when does someday actually come? All right. Don't worry, all your hard work will pay off. Someday when someday you might be dead and then you won't care. Okay. So someone says, I'm still waiting for the payoff. And I've worked hard, but I haven't been consistent. So those are all things that we have heard and we've talked about as well. And then this is kind of the worst one, when you feel like you're in that bad spot and people say, oh, well, it could be worse. Things could be worse. And that is the give me a break type of comment. Bob, I don't know if you've heard anything like this or things that people say when things seemingly aren't going your way or may not be going away for others. I'll take a breath and see if you have any comments on what I've said so far.
Well, those are all good responses, but if you notice, most of them have to do with the externals. I've worked hard. I just need to keep on keeping on, prospecting. It's what others think of me. It's making a lot of money. All of those, it seems to me, stem from an external assessment of what this success is all about. The problem, as I have dealt with clients, and let me, full disclosure, I am not a psychologist. I'm not a psychotherapist. I'm not a psychoanalyst. I don't think I'm psycho anything. But my background is communication and human behavior in that context, academically, and then in industry, and now in consulting. And here is what I've discovered, and I've done a presentation on this topic. You cannot have the life you want because of the life you're living. You can't have the life you want because of the life you're living. And what many of us are doing is running fast, running hard, got a lot of activity, got a lot of busy going on. But I'll say this and shut up, Chris. For many of us, it is an experience of trying to drive a square peg into a round hole. And we are not sure if the problem is the peg or the hole. And you can get a square peg in a round hole if your hammer is big enough and you're strong enough, but it's going to be painful and there's going to be a lot of splinters. I think what I want to talk about later when you get to it is, what can you do when you've discovered that the life I have is not the life I want, but I don't know how to get out of it?
Powerful. And I would love to have a slide that has that you cannot have the life you want because of the life that you have. That is extremely powerful words and very true. Very true. Let's just kind of take a poll here of those of you, and as usual, about 15 minutes in, we've reached a pretty decent number of attendees today, so thank you for showing up. So take a look at this statement here. This is my statement. Have you achieved the level of success that you dreamed of when you were young and full of passion and vinegar? Someone told me that one time. Brewer, you're full of vinegar. And that was when I was I was younger. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to expand my polls here, and I'm going to put this in here. All right, and I'm going to launch this poll. So here are the questions. All right, and go ahead and answer those, and I'm going to leave that up here for a few minutes. Have you achieved your desired level of success you dreamed of when you were young and full of passion and vinegar? Okay, so you've got a yes 100%, and I'm getting there. I'm about 75% of the way there. I've got a long way to go. I'm about 25% where I want to be, or not at all, and I need this call big time. Thank you, Chris and Dr. Bob. That would be the fourth response. So I've got about 50% of you that have voted. I would love to have over 80%. I know some of you show up on the phone and you can't see the poll and you can't vote. So I'm going to do a 7-second countdown here, and then I'm going to close the poll. So if you want to answer, you've got 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and I'm going to close the poll. Okay, so let's take a look at the results here on the screen. But before we do, let's see. I'm going to give a Starbucks card out. I did not even think about this. But I have got a Starbucks gift card for the individual. And John Warman, I will even be willing to ship this overseas. All right. So give me the breakdown. Let's see what number I'm going to go with. Let's go with 100%. Okay. The person that gets closest to the percentage of respondents, and we had 67% of the audience that answered, who says they're there 100%. The closest in percentage will win a Starbucks gift card, and I will ship it out to you next week. So I'm going to go 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and 0. Man, John Warman, you got in right under the wire. Okay, so John Warman said 14%. The answer is 13%. Let me see if anyone got 12. Okay, Alain Cousineau, French last name, which I can't pronounce, got 12%, and Donald Spanitz got 12%. Let me keep scrolling up here. Okay, so we're going to have a playoff. All right, so now you three can only participate. Donald and John Warman and Alain, I'm not sure how that pronounced. I'm sorry if that's wrong. Okay, you guys give me the no, not at all. The no, not at all. Okay, Al, that's awesome. All right, so Al, John, and Donald, what's the last percentage? No, not at all. I need this call last time. Put in your percentages quickly so we can move on. Okay, Donald says 31%. John's got to go over a lot further internet wires to get his number in. Okay, Al says 45 and John says 27%. It is really weird that I said John Warman's name at the beginning, because John Warman is our winner. He said 27%, and the answer was 25%. So, John, I will be sending a very expensive shipped Starbucks gift card to your address. So you have my email. Is that showing on your screen? You guys see the poll results on your screen? Because I can't see them. Okay, it says you guys are viewing them. All right. So, John, I will send that over. Just email me your physical address, and we'll get that over to you. Okay, so here's where we are. 13% of you say you're there. 29% say you're getting there, and 33% say you've got a long way to go. So really, over 50% of you, I'm glad you're on the call today. And for that 29%, there's always things that we can do to get there. So this call is for you. Now, notice we talked about this is internal, how have you achieved success. The next poll, which I'm not going to spend as much time on, is another one that I want us to think about. And I'm going to go ahead and hide the results now. And I would like you to answer this poll. How would you describe, let me get the question box out of the way, how would you describe the overall quality of your relationships with your spouse, girlfriend, I don't care, boyfriend, friends, and family? How would you describe the overall quality of those? Let me get the poll up here, and we're going to launch that. All right, let's see how we are. How would you describe the overall quality? Excellent, I'm happy on all fronts. Above average, there's always room for improvement. Just okay, there is some friction out there. Or bad, I could use some real help. All right, so we got a lot of fast fingers out there. About 50% of you have voted on this one. Okay. All right. And now we have even more people have participated on this question than the last, so I'm going to go ahead. Wow, we're over 70%. That one really caught your attention. Or was it just the Starbucks gift card? I don't know. Okay, we'll go ahead and close the results here. Well, you know, I can't see who's voting, just so you guys know that. I have no idea who's voting what. So I don't know. Someone asked how honest are people being here. I think they're being pretty honest because, I mean, one, I can't tell what people are saying, and I don't know who's voting what. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and close this poll out. And this is pretty interesting. All right, so let's go ahead and share this result. So 31% of you say is excellent, happy on all fronts, congratulations. 46% above average, there's always room for improvement. And 19% say just okay, there's some friction out there, and 4% of you say bad, I could use some real help. So let's focus on the 69% of you who have got room for improvement. And obviously we know that 31% number, that can change from time to time and season to season. We could ask that 31% even this time next week, and that number could change. Dad, anything surprising in your 30 plus years of experience working with people and organizations out there on those two polls?
Not really. It represents a cross-section of a lot of people. You always have the spread there. It's true that probably many of the group is saying, you know, I've got it made, I'm doing fine, I'm doing excellent, I'm doing about as much as I could ever hope to do. But there is a large number, when they're very honest, they're still asking themselves the basic questions, why am I here, and where am I going, and how I'm going to get there. And they know a lot of the answers, but unfortunately, knowledge without action is depression. And I don't mean clinical depression. I just mean there is a constant sense of frustration out there. Chris, you and I have used the phrase in the past, when your life has a lot more FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt, than you do POM, peace of mind, then there is that gnawing sense of a lack of fulfillment, that you feel like there's got to be more out there for me. Why haven't I discovered it? And because, you know, for my generation, the song was, is that, you know, what's it all about, Alfie? Or the great Jack Nicholson movie, As Good as It Gets.
Jack Nicholson? Or is there an actor named Jack Nichols I missed somewhere?
I don't know. I thought there was one. So anyway, thanks for the forgiveness on the front end for that. But so not a lot of surprises. It represents the feelings of a lot of people today, and I think that's what you and I want to talk about is, okay, how do I really make a difference, even though I'm sure that I could, but I don't know how.
Yeah, no, I know that you definitely got the attention of a lot of folks there. You know, somebody repeated your knowledge without actions, depression, and someone else said, you know, really hitting the nail on the head there. So we took a look there. I'm going to go ahead and hide these. And you know, when you think about this, for those of you that feel like you just haven't reached that level of success that you had always desired, that you'd always dreamed of, and that there's communication issues, there's issues with family, with friends, this why question always comes up. And it's why, if we've worked so hard, if we have the education, if we came from a good family, if we had a good start, if we have a good marriage, why, if we got great kids, if we've got a great spiritual life, and we've got great friends, why, if we have all of those things, have we still not attained the level of success that we desire? And so those are all, some may say, well, if you have all of that, then you should be confident that you have had a successful life, because how many people have all of those things? But these are things that we hear sometimes, and that in our self-talk we can say, I just don't understand why I haven't been able to accomplish this when I have all of these things. Someone emailed me this week, and I'm going to share some emails with you, that they have 3 master's degrees, and yet they're still struggling to push through. I don't even have 1 master's degree, and I'm always interested and surprised when I hear those things with people with incredible educations, but they just haven't made it. And you know, so I do something with you all from time to time, and I send out a personal email checking in on the members of our group, finding out, what are you doing? What are you involved in? Tell me about what you have going on. And some of you responded, hey, if this is a canned email, this is really good, but I'll go ahead and tell you. Well, I read every one of your responses, and I think I had nearly 60 come in on this round this week. And really what made me think about having this call, actually it was, I think, maybe last week, I can't remember, time flies, but what really made me motivated about having this call with Dr. Bob today was just reading some of those responses from people that have been around our training for several years and still find that they're not where they want to be. And I really take some responsibility for that, for not having a call like this soon enough to say, hey, what are you doing and where are you going? I'm not going to say who any of these are from. If any of these emails are from you and you wrote it, don't worry, I'm not going to share it with anybody. But here's some little things that I took out. Now these are excerpts. These aren't the whole emails, obviously. I'm stuck. I want to work for myself at home. I have all the skills, but I don't know where to start to make it happen. Thanks for asking about me. I'm always shocked at how many emails I get or questions and support I get where people say, I don't know where to start, and yet I feel like we have done a lot of, here's where you need to start. And so obviously I've missed the mark somewhere if I've missed this particular place on actually where to start. And I'm sure some of you know that there's a lot more to it than that. Here's another one. Thanks for checking in. After years of attempting to leave IT support, it's obvious I've been dabbling elsewhere. And then when this family reunion's over, so just wait a couple more weeks, I'll force a focus on just 1 or 2 areas, and I'll trust that will cure my lack of success. So a couple of weeks, and I'll trust that that'll work. Maybe that'll work. And if you're on the call, I'm not discounting that, because there's other things in these emails that I'm not sharing that are personal experiences or things that have happened. Here's another one. We need to get money coming in ASAP. We've exhausted going to all the people we know. They want marketing, but they don't want to pay for it, or they don't have a budget. So we're going after cold leads, which can be very challenging and very difficult to do. I'm actually going to be working with this member, and we're going to try to make some progress here for them. This is one where I really couldn't figure out where to pull it, but essentially it's, at least they're recognizing I haven't been doing my part. I haven't been doing my due diligence. Had the program for over a year. Despite all this, I'm still not well connected. It's a cold fact that people buy from people they know, trust, and like. It's clear to me, this is a stunning statement. It's clear to me that if I like to be successful in this business, I have to create personal contacts and relationships with local business owners. And I want to say, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That is exactly what you need to do. And so many times in many of these emails, the answer is within what they've already said, but for whatever reason, they still haven't done it. I bought into DCS quite a long time ago with Russell, but never really got the business off the ground. I've developed many programs and websites. I've paid pretty well. I guess my challenge has been when I see a website or software, I look at it, it becomes a distraction, and it prevents me from doing the important things, which is getting clients that are willing to pay for my services. Now, Dad, I know that you have worked with sales and sales executives for a very long time, and our members here are involved for the most part in digital marketing and local marketing services, to selling services to local businesses. Were there any surprises or shocks, from your perspective in the industries that have you worked with? Any things that seem like common ground there?
Not really any surprises, but it represents what I've seen across the board, which is we're doing as well as we can, or as we think we are able to, but what we have not discovered sometimes, not everybody, but many of us, we haven't discovered what our real strengths are, what the zone is where we excel, and what next. What are those things that get in the way of that, and why are those self-generated obstacles? And it's not the fault of the customer, it's not the fault of the prospect or the colleague or my family. It's all about what I'm thinking and my mindset. And that's where I've worked 30 plus years, is kind of washing the windows of awareness. Oh, so that's what I'm doing that annoys clients. I never realized that, and no one told me that. Oh, so that's what I need to be doing to follow up, instead of doing dabbling in additional webinars and additional books and so forth. I think it's that fundamental lack of awareness of why is it that I'm struggling so.
Yeah, that's great. And really, this is where, at this point in the webinar, I'm going to transition a little bit on where do we begin? Where do we start here to change the way things have been, so that we can create a new day for ourselves and turn those days, day after day, into a painted canvas that marks out our future right there before us, where we can see that beautiful sunset or whatever the picture of success is. And you've talked a little bit about where to begin, and that's where, how do we find out? How can we find out what is short-circuiting our success?
Well, I don't have all of the answers, and folks on the line are certainly open to disagree and make improvements on what I will say. But I'll suggest this. For 30 plus years, I have been working with people on how they can better manage, more effectively manage themselves, their job, and their relationships. Those are the critical three. And I'll tell you two quick stories, both of them true. Catherine was in her late 40s, maybe even tapping out at 50. She had been through an extensive management development program in which we had done a full-blown assessment of her strengths, what environment she worked best in, what behaviors she might exhibit when she was under pressure. Catherine enjoyed the money, the position, and the perks of a highly respected accountant in the company. But there was that gnawing sense that, is this really what I want to do? Do I want to wake up one day and always be an accountant? So she asked me, what do you think? Is there anything in that assessment that I took that might help? I said, well, tell me, what do you like to do? She said, well, she did a lot of reports for the government. She said, I like the research, the investigation, finding obscure information, solving mysteries. I said, great. What did you want to be when you were in high school? She said, I really wanted to be a librarian. And why didn't you, Catherine? She said, my dad said there was more money in accounting than there was in teaching, and certainly in being a librarian. I said, well, I don't know if the assessment will tell us anything about why you feel kind of out of sorts in accounting, but I pulled it up right there in her presence, pulled up out of my computer that information. And what was the #1 match for her career with her talents? A librarian. And I handed it to her and I said, Catherine, don't die with the music inside. If that is your gift and that's what you're talented for and that's what you have a passion for, don't while away your days doing accounting work, as great as it is and as much money as you give, because money is not the key to your happiness. Well, she said, you know, that all makes a lot of sense, Bob, but she didn't have the courage to make the step. And so she lived out her life in accounting and did very well, but it wasn't that sense of fulfillment. A young man half her age had a college degree in business. His dad owned a business, and Dad's dream was that one day the son might want to take over. And so he gave the son opportunity to get all the appropriate licenses and certifications and all of that. Well, the guy was miserable. The young man was miserable. He couldn't have the life he wanted because of the life he was living. So he took the assessment that we're talking about, and I said, okay, Jim, before you look at it, what do you really want to do? He said, you know, I love being out in the woods. Maybe I could be a forester. I said, let's pull up the assessment and see what is your #1 career match. #1 was farming, fishing, and forestry. Success for Jim was not going to be in a coat and tie inside an office in front of a computer doing deals on commercial real estate. Success was going to be likely when he chose, and that's the word, when he chose to stop living his daddy's dream and start living Jim's dream.
Yeah.
And people are just not aware of what their real assets are and what is it that gets them into hot water or to trouble, or why is it they feel so frustrated. And that's why they bought into the lie of success, which is, well, if you'll just work harder, it'll eventually come.
Yeah, and that's really my goal today with all of you who've been great enough to stay on and follow with tremendous amount of attention as Bob paints these stories and these pictures for you, is I want to help you as much as I possibly can, and I don't want to help you by continuing to influence that in a negative way in terms of giving you shiny objects. It's your choice whether you want to purchase those or not. That's why all of us are in business. You're in business to sell services. I'm in business to sell services. I just happen to sell services to local clients and national clients, and I also go out and find resources and things that you all can utilize in your business. But I really want to make sure if there are anybody out there that I can help today, I want to do that. And I want to be able to share with you what I have done in order to really change the course of my life in many ways. And so I'm going to share, just full disclosure, a little bit about me. You heard Bob talk about an assessment, and I actually did this when I was about, what, Dad, 19 or 20 years old, and so I did that then, and I recently retook it after having 20 plus years of marriage and kids, and it was very interesting. And so what I thought I would do is just share what have my failures been. And since Bob knows, based on this assessment that I took at 2 different stages in my life, I thought he would maybe share a little bit about this, and these are things that that I really could have avoided if I had really completely paid attention to these things. I was fired from a college internship because I couldn't keep my mouth shut complaining about my boss to other people. I went to 3 different colleges. I had 4 different majors changes, which added years to my college tuition. Left my dream of, quote-unquote, dream of professional golf because it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. Usually continually bored after 2 or 3 years with a company that I work for or a new business. I just always felt restless and what was next and what was going to be new. And I lost about $500,000 on a bad business deal. Or was it all my fault? So those are my failures and my missteps. And then before Bob comments, these have been my successes. 20 plus years in a fantastic marriage, been a top sales leader, whether working for someone else or working for myself. I've rapidly grown multiple companies from 0 to $1 million companies. And like many of you have told me, I've helped others grow their own successful enterprises. So from those 2 things, Dad, from the assessment that I took, what are the things that you could have told me? And many of these we've already talked about. But what does my profile reveal about these successes and failures?
Well, one of the in very simple language, it isolates for you about 10 major super strengths about how you go about handling your responsibilities, your relationships, how you manage your own habits, and likewise picks up about 5 major obstacles to your success, and all of those are self-inflicted. Nobody's forcing you to act that way. That's just what you have chosen to do because you think, well, that's what you do in those situations, and you get under pressure, and it tends to bring out the worst, as it does in all of us. For example, and you remember this from your experience, and you can tell the story better than I can. Your strength, one of your strengths is you like to, because you're so creative and you have more ideas than you will have a lifetime to live out. It's difficult for you to make rapid decisions because you see so many possibilities and you recognize there are many consequences to an action. So your preference is to have plenty of time to make a thoughtful decision. Well, if you get under pressure and someone is in a hurry for a decision, without realizing it, you choose to delay that decision unnecessarily. And it overcomplicates it because you see all the ramifications and all the minutia that goes into that decision. Meanwhile, your colleague or your boss or whoever it is sitting there, as it were, tapping their feet but getting increasingly frustrated with you. Why isn't Chris delivering? Why isn't he getting back to me? And it's easy for Chris to say, well, if you hadn't put so much pressure on me, all right, you know I don't like tight deadlines, but that's not the issue. The issue is that Chris didn't really realize that inside himself, what he cannot see, just like in a tree, you can see the outside of the tree and all of its beauty, but you don't know the roots. And it's what the roots do that make the tree beautiful. And if you, as it were, kill the roots, the tree dies. And you kill the roots in your heart because what's missing is the environment you prefer to work in and how you prefer others to treat you. And when that has not happened to you, I think you found yourself restless. I mean, you were at loose ends. You got disorganized. You lost your energy and your vinegar, and found yourself very frustrated. And so you went, you job hop to something else. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, no, I mean, for sure. And that's where, with the knowledge that that I had about myself, there are some failures that, my strengths got me to that point. My strengths every bit got me to the point. My strengths got me to a point where people were taking notice and offered to buy me out of my company. But my weaknesses actually ended up making that deal not go so well. And
it's a common thing, Chris. We see it in athletes. A strength carried to an extreme becomes a liability. And your strength is to weigh things carefully because you're so creative and inventive and you think of all kinds of possibilities. Carried to an extreme, that pulls you down and slows you down because you can't pull the trigger and make the decision.
And so what I want to do is I want to be able to unlock these hidden truths for you. If you want to take advantage of what Dr. Bob is going to offer for everybody today. And I want to say before I go any further, for those of you that are getting your radar up that, oh my gosh, Chris tried to sell me Local Prospector all week and now he's going to try to sell me something. You know what? I don't even want you thinking about that. I was talking to Luke Harlan this week, which many of you remember Luke Harlan is one of our most successful members. I said, Luke, man, I'm really kind of struggling a little bit about this call because maybe I need to delay it because I just got through with this Local Prospector, but I just got all these emails from members that just, I seem like they're stuck and I really want to help them. And he's like, are you kidding me? You're going to postpone something that can help someone that they're actually going to have to pay a little bit of money to get the help? And he said, you need to just tell them what they need to do and see if you can help them out. And so this isn't going to be a fit for everybody, and hopefully you got the content that you came on for today, but I want you to hang out because there are those things that are known and those things that are unknown, and in between are the doors of perception. And this is really what I want to be able to deliver for you, is really open up those doors of perception that I've been able to take advantage of, that my wife's been able to take advantage of, that my business partner's been able to take advantage of. And Dad, how many folks have you helped people with, do you think, just guesstimating with this?
Guesstimating is a bunch.
Okay. I would say it's in the hundreds of easily of individuals. And so I want to, from today, after today, I want you to be able to spend your life working on other objectives that are going to be more positive and more meaningful for you. And this is a method that Dr. Bob's used for over 30 years to really, like in the stories he said, to really change the lives and futures from, I don't know if you, I kind of like this one, Dad, from from regular Joes to CEOs. And it can definitely make a big impact. And so do you know what your usual behavior style is? The way that you behave and the tasks that you do and the relationships that you have, what your underlying needs are, both your internal perceptions and expectations, and how those should be governed. How are you under stress? When you're under stress and when your needs don't go unmet, that many times are the behaviors that other people are whispering about you in the corridors and that you never hear, but yet you end up repeating every time you get into stress. What are your interests? Just like Bob said, is your interest sales? Is your interest entrepreneurship? Or your interest marketing? Is that what you think? Or are you really better suited for something else that's always been in that still quiet voice when no one else is around? Your management style, the kind of work environment, do you know these things? And this is what we want to do. We want to help you escape these cycles that keep you from the success you desire across all the channels of your life. And so what I'm going to do here is have Bob share a little bit about the Birkman method. This is an assessment that we're going to offer you guys at a huge DCS rate today, because I want all of you to have this. I want you to even think about, those of you that said your communication is really bad, you really need a lot of help, you guys need this. For those of you that whether it's communication or you don't feel like you're getting where you need to go, this is what I want you to think about. And so, Dad, tell a little bit about the Birkman method. I've got about 6 minutes left, and I'll share with them the page where they can go check this out.
Thank you, Chris. Many of you have taken a zillion assessments. You may have taken the Myers-Briggs, the DISC, the Enneagram, the Firo-B, and a host of others. And they're all good in their own way, and they can be a lot of fun. The DISC is used in a lot of organizations. It's simple and it's easy and it's pretty lightweight. Birkman, you can look it up on their website, the Birkman organization out of Houston, been around 50 years. I personally was tutored by the founder of the company, Roger Birkman. And what it does is help you realize and discover the unknown. You know what your strengths are, many of you, and you know what you do when you get under pressure. What you don't know is why that happens, and that it has nothing to do with what somebody else does, except it's how you may be feeling, and you may be expecting. And sometimes you have unrealistic expectations of other people, and so you get into that restless, frustrated, perhaps even angry mode. The Birkman is available. Chris is going to make it available to you online. You fill out the questionnaire in about 30 minutes, 40 minutes. I get the results. We then schedule a 75-minute coaching session, feedback session. Here's what you've learned. Here's what it says. Here's how you can use it. I suspect many of those assessments you've taken do not provide 8 or 10 specific pages on sales effectiveness, which the Birkman does. After that initial conversation with you, which is very supportive and designed to encourage and inspire and challenge you to become even better than you already are, then you can choose if you want to go further and have some pretty intense kinds of coaching that I do on a regular basis with executives, or you just say, well, that's enough, Bob. I don't think I want to go any further, and that's your choice. But the important thing is that this gives you an opportunity to move past your past, and you don't have to live the life you're living now, because you've discovered what are the keys, the genuine keys to living the life you want to live. You're more effective, you're more efficient, you're more profitable, productive, and you find more purpose in what you're doing.
Yeah, and I want to say too, I regularly go back to my Berkman assessment in different times of my life. I will honestly say I have had times, I know guys, you guys are going to be amazed at this, but I have challenges sometimes in communication with my wife. And sometimes I got to go in and look at that, and I look at hers and I go, oh, okay, that's where you're screwing up, Brewer. Or I look at challenges I have at work or where I'm frustrating my people, and I can go back and I can go, that's what I'm doing. And so it's so incredible. So here's where you guys can go. Other folks offer this for about $500. You cannot order this off the Berkman site. They're going to have you do this with someone like Dr. Bob, who's licensed to give you the assessment and go over the results, because it's very, very much in depth. And it's a $197 one time that includes the assessment and up to 90 minutes with Bob as he goes through it and helps you design the next steps that you need to go. And the page is right here, drbob.thedcslocal.com/go. And you just click the Get Started button there. I'll go ahead. I know you guys are wondering why is it not in the chat yet. I see your comments, so I'll pop that in there. But really, I'm going to leave this open. I'm not going to, this isn't some like, I don't have the money today and when is this going to close. This isn't some online marketing deal that I'm doing affiliates with or anything like that. This is just really, Dad and I got together and I said, Dad, how low can you price this for my members? I know you usually get $400 or $500 a pop when you do this, but how low can you go for my members? And so I'm going to leave this open. I'm going to put it on the member website. It is HTTP, I'm putting it here in the chat, drbob.thedcslocal.com/go. And I'm going to put this on both areas of the member site. And I'm probably also going to use this when I get new members, because I want new folks to take this before they get too deep into our coaching and the things that we would do with you as a member. So you can go to this page, check it out. There's a lot here about the Berkman method that I put if you want more information on it. And there's also, Dad, you don't know this, but I also gave them a guarantee. And here's the guarantee. We can't do a money-back guarantee because we have to pay, Bob has to pay the Berkman for the assessment, and once you take it, that's gone. But what I did do, and Dad, if you aren't comfortable with this, you just let me know. But what I did do is that if after you've taken the assessment and you've scheduled your time with Bob, if after the first 15 minutes and looking at your results and talking with Dr. Bob, you do not feel like this is for you, then we'll refund you $75 of your purchase price. Okay? I doubt anybody would take advantage of that, but I've got to leave the rest out there for a little bit of Bob's time and what we've got to pay for the assessment. So let's, I'm going to leave this up and I'm going to go back and look at some questions. If you have any questions at all, and I'll tell you, I've been blessed to have 46 years of being able to pick up the phone and talk to a dad like Bob Brewer and ask his advice on things. And let me tell you, if you can get 90 minutes of this guy's time for this amount of dollars and get, especially there's a member that just connected with me that said that she wasn't sure that my VIP coaching was exactly what she was thinking about and wanted maybe something more in depth. In some cases, this might actually be one for you to look at before we actually start working. You know who you are. So I'm just going to look through and see if there's any additional questions before we close down today. And Andrea said intelligence doesn't guarantee success, and because academic degrees don't equate to a serious work ethic, common sense or the basic skill set required to succeed. Common sense is what's required many times to succeed, and lots of options in the where to start. It makes it difficult to figure out what to focus on when going through the training. So anytime you get into our training, whether it's .com Secrets or Local Funnel Mastery, again, start at the beginning. Just start with the training itself and resist leaving the training to go implement the shiny objects there. Make notes. Put ideas down on what could be first and who could I talk to about this. And then once the training is complete, then it's a matter of determining what can I go to market with and who am I going to talk to about what I'm going to market with. And usually you can keep that pretty simple that way. What Bob's saying is go with your heart. I wholeheartedly agree. Someone says, Bob, how can we focus on what we should actually sell and how then to go about it? And some of that may be a little more on the, I guess, I don't know if you've had that question just in general. I mean, you've talked with a lot of salespeople and a lot of different organizations, and a lot of organizations, they're in the job because they know exactly what they have to sell and they're trained on how to go about it. This business, Bob, is a little bit different because they have a wide variety of things that they can sell, but many times they're not exactly sure what they should sell or how to go about it.
The answer for me has always been less talking and more asking. Customers do not believe what comes out of your mouth, salesperson. They believe what comes out of their mouth. So to differentiate yourself from the show up and throw up crowd, refine your questioning techniques so much that there actually is no closing of the sale because they have closed it themselves. But you can't get there and discover those things by walking in with a predetermined, I want to tell you this, I want to show you this. Let me show you to the door, if that's your approach.
Right, right. Yeah, that's good. Someone said, I've already been into the link and purchased, and the thank you email says, thank you for your purchase. You may access your purchase here anytime, but the only link is unsubscribed. That's because I didn't set up in ClickFunnels the thank you email, because when you get to the order confirmation page, it's going to tell you that Dr. Bob will email you your secure link to go and take the assessment. And then after that, you will coordinate on setting a time to review it. So keep in mind that when you do take advantage of this and put in your email, you're not going to be delivered any immediate link because we actually have to go in and purchase the assessment for you. So for those of you that have already done that and saw that thank you email, I'll go in and adjust that. But the next step after you purchase will be that Bob will be emailing you personally with a link to purchase that. So that is all we have time for today. Again, that link is drbob.thedcslocal.com/go. I will attach this as well with a link in both members areas. If you want to catch this later, or you don't have the money right now to do that. We're not doing any payment plans on this. Just save up your dollars. If you want to do this in a couple of months, it'll be there for you. Dad, lots of great comments and feedbacks from people saying thank you, and many people saying appreciate this opportunity, and I'll tell you, it is a solid opportunity. I know in my company we paid much more for this when we did it with Brett and I, and Dad's done this with other companies I've had in the past. So thank you very much, and appreciate your time. And for those of you that showed up today with the time change and everything else, I really appreciate it, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks, I believe the day after Thanksgiving, and I'll have to figure out what we'll do there. So everybody have a great one and enjoy some time with your family. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.